Coming to a YouTube channel near you.
Oh, it's a little higher than I thought. Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Street Talk with Alethea Jacob. I'm Alethea, and I am so delighted that you are here joining us tonight. So tonight, we're going to talk a little bit more about manifestation, kind of pick up where we left off with the last episode. But before we do that, just wanted to welcome everybody to the show and explain a little bit about the format. Usually the first 5 or so minutes, I talk a little bit about what's been on my mind and heart. Then I dive into some teachings or lessons that we want to share that we've talked about or put out there that may have attracted you to tune into this show to start with. And then I'm going to present messages from Spirit that have come through, and I'll be using angel cards and oracle cards and tarot cards just to share some messages. And then at that point, I'll go over to the chat and I will look at if there's any questions from people who are here live tonight, or if there are any comments that have topics that people want me to dive into. So it's not specifically a question, but it's stuff they want more information about. And then we'll kind of riff on that. So, all right. So manifestation. So first, how'd you do from last week, right? Did you try anything? Well, if you don't try stuff, it's not going to work, right? You got to build that manifesting muscle, so to speak. I'm a little crooked here too. Sorry about that. Little bit of running around last minute, but we got it. We got it going. That's also part of manifesting, by the way, is having that perseverance and resiliency that when you get a little hiccup on your path to manifesting what you want, you don't just say, oh my gosh, this is too hard, or oh my gosh, this little roadblock I wasn't anticipating. You do your best in order to figure it out and get back on track and get your momentum building again. So that's just a little building off today. So what's been on my mind and heart? Well, the Olympics. Oh my God, these people are amazing. So if those athletes are not perfect examples of people manifesting their dreams and working hard and training and gathering the team around to support them, I don't know what is. I watch some of those people and I'm just, my mind is blown at how incredible and amazing they are. So one in particular struck me, and it was a figure skater. And she had been in a brutal accident about a year ago. And like they listed all the things she broke and tore and everything else. And I'm like, what? And meanwhile, they knew, it was going to be this incredible fight for her to, rehabilitate and strengthen things and get back into the routine. And she managed to get herself all the way up to a level of execution where she could be performing in the Olympics. And the announcers were kind of like, yeah, she's not a contender for a medal, but look at her out there. She's absolutely glowing as she is skating around. She's having the time of her life. She put her mind to it, and this is what she manifested. And I thought, wow, how amazing that the story was. I had no idea the backstory. And once you heard it and you watched her skate, you're like, wow, this is somebody who literally is living the dream after experiencing a nightmare. And I thought, well, geez, how often is it that when life just throws us a curveball and we're like, oh, this is a nightmare. This is horrible. I'm so derailed. I don't know how I'm even going to get back on my feet, let alone start manifesting good things. How often then do we have the wherewithal to step back from it and say, okay, this sucks. And what am I going to do about it? Am I going to give up, or am I going to double down and figure out what do I need to do despite this setback, despite this challenge, despite not knowing how I'm going to do it? What am I going to focus on? How am I going to visualize things? And, she talked about how she just kept seeing herself there and knowing in her heart she was going to do it somehow, some way, with help, with practice, with the grace of God, whatever you want to call it. She was going to be doing that. So that was the first thing that struck me. The next thing that struck me, this is Easter season for Christians and Lent for Catholics. And I'm not sure how many other Christian sects also honor Lent or do that. But one of the things they talk about in Lent is that you're supposed to give something up as a just kind of as a recognition of what Jesus went through. And a thankfulness of that and gratitude for that. It's like, okay, he went through all he went through for us. Okay, I'm going to give something up just to keep the mindfulness on spirituality for these next 40 days. And I was wondering, what do we need to give up? What do we need to be mindful on? What are we paying attention to as the idols in our life? I was thinking back, I was actually talking to some friends yesterday about the 10 Commandments. Yeah, I know I have a very weird life, but we were talking about the 10 Commandments. And one of the things that we were discussing was the one about, not worshiping false idols. And I thought, geez, what are the false idols of today? Is it the devices that we just scroll and scroll and scroll? I heard a stat the other day on the news that the average teenager today spends over 5 hours a day scrolling and being on social media. And I thought, 5 hours a day? Holy moly. When does it leave time for playing, for socializing with your friends in person, for doing your homework, for being with your family? I'm like, 5 hours a day. That's like a not full-time job, but it's a good part-time job. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows. So if we're spending 5 hours a day scrolling or playing games on devices or doing whatever we're doing that way, where are we not focused? We're not focused on what we want to manifest. We're not focused on the person we're trying to become but aren't yet. We're not being focused on the outcomes that we're trying to create in our life. So take a look at where you spend your time and what are the gods or idols in your life that are taking up all of your energy, attention. Really? Pardon me for the technical difficulty there. I have Starlink and I have their maximum plan, and every now. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, I think you can hear me now. Wow. Okay, talk about weird technical difficulties. So sorry about that, guys. So if I go out again and it freezes up, just hang in there. I will be back. I don't know what's going on with Starlink, but I have the highest plan possible with the unlimited download, but sometimes it just freezes up and I don't know why. I'm in Wisconsin. Maybe they don't send as much. Mercury retrograde. Oh, bless you, Chris. Thank you for explaining that. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So, and welcome, by the way. So, I totally forgot what I was saying. Is it all froze up? Oh, well. About manifesting, right? So if we're so preoccupied and we're spending all this mental energy and emotional energy scrolling, watching cat videos, doing social media things, playing games on our devices, we're not really focusing on what are my affirmations? What do I want? What am I trying to manifest? I mean, again, when I heard that the kids were spending 5 hours a day, well, imagine if they spent 5 hours a day playing the violin. They become a master violinist, right? What if they spent 5 hours a day practicing a sport? Okay, if they're playing basketball, if they were tall enough, they'd be in the NBA. 5 hours a day, right? Anything that you do for 5 hours a day, you're going to be in amazing shape. Imagine working out. Oh my God, 5 hours a day, I'd be dead. But if you built up to it, you'd be in incredible shape. So anyway, so that was it just kind of caught my attention. On one hand, here are these Olympians, and this skater in particular who was crippled by a car crash a year ago, and today she's skating on center ice at the Olympics. Yeah, she's not in contention for the medal, but I don't know how many people that after a car crash could rehab themselves well enough to even skate again, let alone skate at that high Olympic caliber, right? So we have that on one hand, and then you have our youth of today that are spending 5 hours a day on average. So that means there's people that are spending a lot more as well as less. But 5 hours a day scrolling and being on social media, they are not building skills. They are not training their body. They are not stretching their mind. They are not going out there and doing something that's going to help them in life. Because I don't know how many people, I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to become a social media influencer. Well, I know there's a bunch out there, and I hope some of those influencers find me in my show and help me get out there even more. But, it's kind of like, how many people can really be NFL players? There's only so many on the rosters, so once those spots are filled, yeah, you might be a great athlete, but there's not room for you. So I'm not sure if it's the same way with social media, but I also am like, is that really the best career choice you can think of? Well, if you haven't done any other education or exercise or socializing with people in person or held a part-time job because all your free time is on social media or on games, it might be challenging. And I know even the government is going after some of the kids that have all these gaming skills. But again, once those spots are filled, now what are you going to do? Right. So I hope that there's more flexibility and resiliency. All right. So anyway, this is, we're going to just pick up now on part 2 of the manifesting. So last week we talked a lot about making sure you have the hope and the desire, and you can see it, and you put steps into action, and then you let it go, right? And so it's out there. So now what do you do, right? You want to kind of speed things along. So what if you were able to collapse time to speed up the results? What would that mean? That would mean that you could visualize, instead of this process taking 5 years to implement before you'll have your next bestseller, what if you imagined it happening a year from now instead of 5 years from now? What if you went backwards from a year from now and looked at the steps and said, okay, what's the step that I took immediately before this, and kind of imagined yourself back to now? But in doing so, you're seeing all of the steps that you took to make things go faster, so you get your outcome that much faster. But it all starts with visualizing yourself already there. The other thing that's really important is understanding if there's any hidden patterns that you have, or any belief systems that you're holding that might be delaying, slowing down, or even preventing the very thing that you're wanting to manifest. So if you're really wanting to manifest a large chunk of money in your life, you want this windfall so that you can buy this new vehicle, new house, change your job, whatever this windfall would bring you. And there's a part of you that believes, I'm not lucky. That's something you said your whole life. Oh, I'm just not lucky. Oh, I don't buy a raffle ticket. I'm not lucky. Oh, I'm not going. So if you truly believe on some level that you are unlucky, well, then how are you going to have the luck of a windfall come that's going to bring you that big sum of cash that you can have to use for those purposes that you wanted it for, right? So if you want a new partner or a partner and you don't have one, it's not about trading. What if you say, hey, I want to attract a life partner into my life? Well, what if deep down you're holding a pattern of I'm not worthy, or I like to be alone? How about that? I like to be alone. I like my private time. I can't wait to get home and be alone because at work I'm so busy and surrounded by people. I just love to be alone. Okay. So now you're holding these thought forms of wanting to be alone, wanting to, have that isolation and enjoying it even, and claiming it as part of your identity. At the same time, that's kind of undermining that thing you're trying to manifest, which is I want to attract a partner into my life. Because if you have a partner in your life, guess what? You're not going to be alone anymore, right? So it's really important that you take a look at those things. You need to release any of those fears or doubts that you have as well, right? Any negative thinking that you have is going to slow the process for you, right? You want to have this sense of flow and abundance and prosperity and manifesting the things quickly that you want. I used to say, it is my truth. It's been my truth for a long time that if I wanted to take a workshop and I didn't have the money and I knew I really wanted to take that workshop, something would happen within the time between when I see it and when the registration date is, where money just comes to me. And I'm not saying a gift shows up in the mail. It could be somebody who I did a session for a few weeks ago, and they finally remembered to send me the check, and it shows up in the mail. It could be a IRS refund that it takes a while for them to get around to. Oh, I forgot about that. It shows up in the mail. Somebody might book me to have a house party, or to do a private session, or to do 6 months of coaching, or to attend and speak at a retreat, or help with a workshop, or do a Zoom workshop, right? So yeah, I'll roll up my sleeves, I'll do the work, but those opportunities come instantly to me when I have that need for that money for that workshop that I might want to take, or that trip that I want to go on. And so that's been my reality for a very long time now. And I don't abuse it necessarily. I'm not like constantly looking through the workshop calendars and going, oh, I want to take this. I want to take this. I wait for spirit to prompt me. I wait for that synchronicity to happen where it's like, oh yeah, I need to take that, or I want to take that, and see what's going on. The other thing that's really important to help manifest things, and we've talked about this a little bit when we say that phrase that, we're trying to become the best possible version of ourselves. We're the best, we are the best we can be now, in the process of becoming and unfolding the wonderful beings that we're going to be that we just aren't yet, right? So one thing that's very important is to try to align our energies with that future self. So if you're saying, I want to be in a beautiful, confident, loving, equal relationship with somebody, and I don't care whether it's a personal relationship or a work relationship, and that's what you're trying to manifest. That's what you're putting out there. That's your intention. That's what you want. The you that you want to align yourself with is that person who is confident and in that relationship. So when you're out in the work environment, or you're out in a dating situation, what you want to do is ask yourself, how would that future me be? If I already was that confident me, how would I be responding in that moment? How would I react to that comment? How would I engage with this person? How would I approach and introduce myself if I already was that confident me, right? So it's not exactly faking it till you make it, but what it is trying to capture the essence of the emotion of the confidence and go out there. I remember Stuart Wilde a long time ago talking about how to manifest money and prosperity. And his story, as he told it, was, he came from a rough part of England, and was kind of a hooligan, kind of a thuggish hooligan kind of guy, never really had a lot of money. And he wanted to upgrade and become much more sophisticated. And so one of the stories he said is when he was in the States, he went into the Russian tea room and ordered a cup of tea. And he just sat there for about an hour, very slowly sipping that cup of tea and just soaking in the environment and feeling like this is where I belong, and watching these people that were dressed to the nines coming in and having these amazing course meals. And he was just sipping his cup of tea, but soaking it in and into his of someday I'll be here and I'll have the whole buffet, not just the cup of tea. And so he deserved that wild last name because he was a wild man and he had some unconventional things about him, but he was really good at helping to make us think about what is possible. What if we believed ourselves to be something greater and better than what we've settled in for right now? If you go back to the you that you were when you were a young child, or even an early teenager, and you were imagining what's your life going to be like. For most young kids, unless you're having a lot of drama and trauma, and I get it, a lot of us did have that, but for most kids, if you're in a healthy environment, raised by a loving family, and surrounded by people who are supporting of your dreams and goals, if they asked you, what do you want to do when you grow up? Or if you're just sitting there one day daydreaming about what'll it be like when you go to school, and will you go to high school and then college or a trade school? Will you follow in the footsteps of your parents and grandparents and maybe join the armed forces, or follow the family business and be part of the restaurant, or own your own chain of restaurants? Or will you become a great dancer, performer, athlete? What was that dream that you had for yourself, that you would have a wonderful family, a beautiful home, have, go on wonderful vacations? What were the things that were important to you as a kid? You want to kind of get back into that energy of excitement and what it might be like if you could actually have that happen. The other thing that we have to get over, guys, is our pride. We have to swallow our pride, because sometimes in order to manifest our dreams, we have to ask for help. We need the support of other people to encourage us and to be part of the process of manifesting what we're looking for in our hopes and dreams. So I just wanted to, put that out there as well. All right. So if you have questions about manifesting, obviously, put them on the chat as well. And I'm going to go through the messages from Spirit for today, and then we'll see what questions are out there on the chat. So the first card that I chose, and let me just talk. I guess I'm going to backtrack a tiny bit. So again, if you're new to the show, I pray before the show starts and I ask for some guidance. And I pick these different oracle cards, angel cards. This is a beautiful deck. Oracle Mandala deck has beautiful mandala pictures and inspired writings. So I pick these cards, and it never fails that whenever you're watching or listening, whether you're doing it live tonight or whether you're tuned in tomorrow morning or tomorrow sometime or a week from now, a month from now, or a year from now, the messages that come out are most likely going to resonate with you. Like you're going to be tuning into this show at the exact right time to hear some of the messages. And to me, that's kind of like the magic of spirit. That's one of these things that just kind of happens. And I'm like, wow, it's really kind of cool. And even for myself, I pick these cards. I don't read them until just now. I flip them over and then it's like, here it is. And even for me, I get the little tickle of, wow, that's really appropriate right now for what's going on in my life or for the messages that I'm trying to get out there. So Illumination says, open your mind to life's higher powers, expand and shine. You are becoming brighter. Okay. Now, isn't that kind of what we were just talking about? How cool is that? Everyday problems can be seen differently and solved easily when they are viewed in that light. So, illumination, right? We need to bring light, but we also need to shine our light and not be afraid to shine our light and share our gifts. Not just share our love, but share our gifts. You know, what are you good at? Do your friends and family know that? You know, what have you done to make sure you're out there sharing those gifts with other people? You know, because when you share your gifts, it brings you joy. It gives you purpose. It helps to build a legacy of you delivering that gift to other people. Okay. The next card, which was kind of fun. This says it's an angel card and it's called Creative Project. So your soul longs to express itself in creative ways. We, your angels, are guiding you to infuse artistry and creativity more into your life. Creative expression makes you feel alive and excited and requires passion towards your life. And reignites passion towards your life. Yeah, you know, so if you're doing something that's very creative, that is part of your talents, your gifts, your heart's desire, it gives you this sense of peace and passion. And quite frankly, it gives you energy to do the things that you love. And I'm a walking example of this. I'm telling you, I've been dragging my butt this last week. And as soon as I sat down and the camera was turned on and here's the show starting, it's like I feel this surge of energy. Why? Because this is my passion. This is part of my purpose. This is what my soul wants me to be doing in this life. To be bringing energy through, to be bringing messages out there, to be sharing what I've learned over 42 years of being a metaphysical life coach and a business consultant and devoted to helping people in their lives, right? So this is what brings me joy. And so even though I was tired and dragging my butt, well, right now I feel energetic. I'm like, woohoo. I'm not going to party, but I know afterwards I have to unwind a little bit after the show's over just because I felt this energy coming to me and through me because I'm doing what my life is supposed to be doing, which is talking, sharing, teaching, getting out there. And speaking of getting out there, really appreciate if y'all could do all those nice social media things of follow, ring the bell, share, like. Make sure your friends and family know about us. And I want to give a shout out to Chris and Mary, the heart and soul of the whole Grizzly Network and the Bigfoot Network, getting out there. They're making sure that these shows all run, that the hosts can, there's a lot of moving parts behind all these things to make these shows go on. And they just keep it all together. And they're out there every day looking even for new hosts and other topics that you all have asked for to put up new shows. And one of those new shows that we're working on now is called Grace in the Grind. And we're going to be doing that show in the mornings to talk about just the really practical things that everybody's going through in their life. And how to just get through it and get her done, as our blue collar comedy tour people would say, get her done. All right. The next card, which fits in so beautifully with what we were talking about, is opportunity. And opportunity says we are all presented with opportunities and are expected to flow with the currents that come our way. Excuse me. Drawing this angel card suggests that something is now being made available to you, and it is up to you to use it to your greatest advantage. Be alert, be aware, and be prepared. You can, of course, make up your own opportunities. If you knock on enough doors, one will inevitably be opened to you. So you are also reminded to persevere. Sound familiar? For it may be that a door that was previously locked has now been opened a crack. Quiet your mind and ask your angels to help you. So pretty cool as far as the opportunity, because that fits right in exactly to what we were saying. The next card, which also fits in beautifully, this is the Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles is all about, if you notice, it has a pentacle at the head for the inspiration that comes from spirit, at the heart that comes from your desires and what you want in your life, and two of them by the hands. And that's representative of what you do in your life. So it's not enough to just dream about things. You have to empower and energize them with your heart. Welcome, John. You also need to take action with your hands. 2 out of 3 isn't going to cut it if you truly want to manifest things. You need to have the vision and put that intention out there. You need to feel in your heart the desire and the knowing that you're on your way, that it is coming to you. You are manifesting it. In fact, you're already there. You're just going through the motions to make it happen. And you have to know what those motions are. What is it you need to do? Do those things. So I like this card a lot for that purpose. It ties right into manifesting beautifully. And the other aspect of it is you have to be in balance. Pentacles, the suit of Pentacles is all about balance. Balancing your money and toys, your relationships, your health, your spirituality. And by that, I mean, what is your sense of self in regards to the greater self? What is your sense of your soul and your soul's purpose? And what do you do every day to reconnect and re-energize your spirit, whether it's through creativity or artistry or being in nature or whatever it is that recharges you? What are you doing? And then time, the balance of work, rest, and play. So those 5 aspects need to be in balance in your life to have anything manifest. And so it's also asking you to look at those areas. The next card is the card, kind of again, balance, right? I just said it. It is the 6 of Pentacles, and it's like you need to have balance in your life in those areas if you're going to manifest. If your life is really out of balance, if your energies are being sucked into and diverted into repairing the hole that's there, it's not being used to manifesting and drawing closer the thing you're trying to create. It's dealing with putting out that fire, right? Or dealing with getting out of that quicksand pit and figuring out, how do I get out of here? Okay. And then the final card, and this card is the Page of Cups. And I like that it's upside down, because when it's right side up, it's saying we get things, but they're not what we expect and we're disappointed. This is just the opposite. This is saying, hey, we are able to be that proverbial person who can take lemons and turn it into lemonade, and who sees the energies that are out there. And even if it's stormy, they see the silver lining in the clouds, right? It's that kind of a person. Well, this is saying you are expressing gratitude, which is the grease that turns the wheels of manifesting in the universe, right? You need to recognize and see the things that are coming and say, oh, this is one step in the right direction. Oh, wow, this is part of it. And this may be a really silly example, but it happened to me, and so I'm going to share it. So I was trying to manifest some money, and I'm walking through the parking lot and at one of the local stores, and I look down and I see a $10 bill. Like, it's just there, but it's not dirty. It's clearly somebody dropped it and then drove off. And I pick it up and I said, thank you, universe. This is a sign, that money is coming to me already. It's on its way. It's coming. I would have said the same thing if it was a quarter, but I was much more excited because it was $10, because it was like, yeah, it's coming, and it's coming big, and it's coming fast, because I just did that manifestation exercise. And here I'm walking to the grocery store, and there's $10 sitting there, right there, waiting for me to pick it up. And sometimes we have to have that willingness to pick it up, right? We have to get out there. If I was just sitting at my home saying, bring me money, makes it a lot harder to manifest. But I got myself out there, and, it began, and what I needed the money for eventually came. And I was very, very excited about it. So that gratitude and that having this feeling of, wow, I can see how this can help me get there, or how this next connect the dot, pay attention, especially to the new people that just pop into your life, whether it's in a work environment or context, a social context, a family, friend context. Just notice who shows up, and notice how they might redirect you to different experiences and opportunities that you normally wouldn't be at. I have a new friend that's come into my life, and she's helping me partner with a small business that I'm running. And she just said to me, hey, I'm going to this fundraiser on Saturday night. Would you like to go? And I'm like, normally by Saturday night, these days anyway, I'm pretty tired because I'm doing work in the business on Saturday during the day. And so I said, well, let's see how I feel. And then the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, I didn't even know about this fundraiser. Who knows who's going to be at it? It's probably going to be a great opportunity to meet and make connections. And so I'm going to take it as the universe kind of plopped this opportunity in my path, brought to me by somebody who's kind of new in my circle of friends. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to say yes. Learning how to become a yes person to the universe is really important when it comes to speeding up and manifesting the things that you want, that you're putting out there for. Because if you are perceived as, yep, if I get this prompting from spirit and it says go there, I'm going to say yes, that's it. So that is that energy of being that yes person, of being willing to take those steps when you're inspired to do so. In or a new person comes into your life and they might make a suggestion or two about something. Oh, this same friend made a suggestion to me about my dog Flash. And I've talked about Flash in the past and how he's been having a lot of trouble walking, and I've had to help him up the stairs. And she's just casually mentioned, well, have you thought about having a chiropractic vet come and look at him? And I was like, no, actually, I hadn't thought about that. Just didn't occur to me. I'd done all kinds of other things for him, and I just didn't think about he might need an adjustment. So I had someone come a couple of weeks ago, and they adjusted him. And the first 2 days, it was worse. But that I understood why, because she was manipulating parts of him, and he has arthritis and stuff. But then after that, he seemed much, much better. And she came yesterday for a second adjustment. And he jumped right up onto the little adjusting platform, and he was really happy to see her. And she adjusted him again, and he seems like he was doing better much more quickly. And so I'm like, oh, okay. But I would never have thought, maybe not never, but it didn't occur to me for all these months of dealing with his issue of, oh, maybe I should have a chiropractor check him out. I didn't think of that. This other person this new friend in my life just happened to casually mention it. And I'm like, oh yeah, Why not? See, that's part of being a yes person of spirit. When somebody makes a suggestion to you about something that will help you or somebody you love, run it through your filter. See what your own intuition says about it. And when I ran it through my filters, and remember, what are the 3 places we check? We check with our intellect, we check with our heart, our feelings, and we check with our gut, our knowings. So intellect said, yep. Heart said, yep. Gut said, yep. I made the appointment. So you want to double check it. But most likely when these opportunities, these suggestions, these new people have come into your life kind of out of the blue, and they're making suggestions to help you, especially if it's going to help you manifest the thing that you've been trying to put out there or that you've been praying for, pay attention to those, take action on those, and at least run it through your checking point and say, does it make sense? Yes. Does it feel right? Yes. Do I know about? Yep. All good to go. All right. So those are the messages from Spirit for today. I would also like to just grab my book for a second. And this is A Portal to Potential. And this book was meant to encourage and empower anybody who's out there looking for inspiration, creativity, guidance. What's your soul's purpose? It has all kinds of uplifting passages. It has spiritual wisdoms. It has questions for you to ponder and answer that might help you get your things manifesting a little bit more quickly. It's $10 on Amazon. So please feel free to go check it out. And I just opened up a question here, and it says, what if you shed all the preconceived notions of who you were, who you are, and who you would become, and allowed the wisdom of your expanded awareness to recraft, redesign, and rebuild the best possible version of self? And now tell me, isn't Spirit great? What were we talking about? And I crack open the book, and isn't that like the most perfect paragraph? I just love Spirit. They're so cool to us. I love when stuff like that happens. Like I said, it gives me a tickle because it's kind of showing that we're on the right page, right? We're focused on the right things. When you keep seeing those messages pop up all around you in the same way, but in different forms, it's almost like the exclamation point from Spirit saying, you got it? You got it? You hearing this? You got it now. So I just love that. All right. So let's see what questions we have on the chat. For those of you who are live tonight, if you have a question or you have a topic you'd like me to talk about, just put it on the chat. And if you would, put it in capital letters because it helps me see it. It shows up a little bit more. But you know what? There's not that much on the chat tonight. So let's see. So we have here, this is Chris saying, logic understands what you were saying, but actually being able to do it easily is another thing, And yeah, I know. I didn't say necessarily it was going to be easy because a lot of simple things in life aren't easy. They're just simple. Easy is another matter. Simple means it's not complicated. There's not a lot of steps. Easy means, it just happens with minimal effort. This process of manifesting requires effort, right? Like, if you, okay. I remember a story. I'd say, okay, because like, I'm hearing Spirit pop in and say, tell him the story about, right? So I'm hearing the story about the Zen master who had a student, and the Zen master tells the student to go out into the yard and dig a well because they need more water. They're all thirsty. They want some tea. And he wants this young, strapping new Zen monk to go out there and dig a hole. So a while goes by and a while goes by and a while goes by. And the Zen master comes out and he sees there's like 30 holes in the yard. And they're all about 3 foot deep. And he looks at the student and he's like, what in the world are you doing? And the student says, well, I started digging here. I got about 3 feet down. I didn't hit water. So I figured I'd try another spot. And so I tried another spot, and I kept in, and hence we had 30 holes. And the Zen master kind of shook his head and he said, dear one, if you had just stayed with the first hole, or any of the holes for that matter, and dug 5 foot deep instead of 3 foot deep, you would have hit the water level that's here. And so here he was, the student, with 30 holes, dirty, perspired, thirstier than ever, but no water, no results to show for the efforts, because he wasn't working smart. He didn't stay with the one thing long enough. And I know we seem to be an ADHD contaminated culture. It's like everywhere you turn, everybody's like, oh, I got ADHD. I have ADHD. And I look around, I'm like, well, maybe I have it too. You know, you hear about so much. And that might partly be a side effect, kind of circle full around to what we started with the scrolling, that our attention span. Somebody said if a clip doesn't grab you within 10 seconds or 8 seconds, forget about it. They don't stay with you. If a video or what they're reading doesn't grab within 10 seconds or 8 seconds, they're on to the next thing. So we have trained ourselves through these devices and our habits. And even watching some of the movies, I had a friend who studied film, and he said, watch a movie next time. How long do they stay focused on a person's face or on a certain scene? He says it's about every 6 to 8 seconds. They're jumping to something else. And we're not training our minds and our consciousness to stay focused, to stay with one thing until we get the result. So just like that poor Zen monk student that was dirty and thirsty, he put in a lot of effort, but it was not the right kind of effort. It wasn't focused effort. When we're trying to manifest, we need that focused effort. We can't keep jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing and expect we're going to become a master. I know friends who are musicians who are a little bit good at a bunch of instruments. They can play the piano, they can play the trumpet, they can play the flute, they can play the guitar, and they can do a few songs in each one, which I'm in utter amazement of, because I can't read music. I can sing a little, but I can't read music like they can. And I've tried to play a few instruments in my life, and it's not my gift. Let's just put it that way. So one of the things, I was thinking was, geez, instead of spending all this time and splitting their efforts into 4 different instruments, what if they had just stuck with one? Would they be a master pianist, a concert pianist, first chair with the flute, if they stayed with that, singing at open mic nights, and then getting their own gigs, playing around town or beyond, if they stuck with the guitar? So maybe they didn't want to become a professional musician at all, and it was just, I'm just dabbling a little. But be really clear about what your intention is. Are you just dabbling through life? Or are you wanting truly to manifest your soul's purpose? Are you truly trying to manifest the best possible version of you that you can attain in this lifetime? Only you know the answer to that. But if you find yourself jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing, do your best to focus on what it is that you really, truly want most to manifest. And even if you get distracted in the moment, circle back around. It's like, I get it. Those shiny things. It's like, ooh, yeah, the squirrel, whatever, right? These things sometimes happen. I'm distracted now because I let my dog out for potty, and normally he's back in like 5 minutes, and it's been a half hour or so. And I'm like, where's my dog? But it's also the snow's melted here in Wisconsin, and there's bunnies everywhere, and there's a dog in heat across the way. And, so I'm sure he's just having a smell fest out there, but that's in the back of my mind. And I'm like, push that out of my mind Don't worry about your dog. Focus on what's the message here. We have to do that sometimes. We have to push the other thing out of our mind that's distracting us and get back to the task at hand. What is it that we're trying to manifest? And, we don't have to be so rigid or authoritarian about it, right? We want this to be joyful, because what you're manifesting, what you're trying to bring into that better version of you, should be something that's exciting, that you have passion about, that you want to happen, because it's a good thing, to have this thing happen, right? But we also want to have forgiveness for ourselves. There's going to be oopses. There's going to be days and weeks that we're like, oh, I got distracted again. Soon as you realize you got distracted, instead of spiraling into this, oh, I'm a miserable person because I got sidetracked, and how am I ever going to manifest this ever? No, don't throw yourself into the quicksand. The minute you realize that you were distracted, get back on track. It's like if you were on a diet and you truly, truly, truly wanted to lose 20 pounds, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna watch my carbs. I'm gonna limit any kind of processed sugars. I'm gonna exercise a little extra, and I want to reach that goal in 2 months. And you start off like gangbusters for the first couple of weeks, and you drop a few pounds, and you're down 5 pounds, and you're excited, and you're down 10 pounds, and you're excited. And then somebody has a birthday, and you have cake, and next thing you know, you're having other sweets again. And for about 3 or 4 days in a row, you forgot that you were on this wonderful new plan. You forgot about that goal of losing that 20 pounds, and you kind of slip back into old eating habits. And then you're sitting there about to bite on that piece of pizza, or maybe you're looking at the crust because you've already eaten most of it, going, oh, yeah, pizza wasn't on my diet plan. Oops. Okay. Now, wouldn't it be silly when you have that realization to say, screw it. I'm just going to throw away that desire to lose those pounds. I'm going to just eat like crazy. I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to care anymore. No, it's oops, I slipped. And as soon as you recognize you slipped, get back on track. And it might take you a tiny bit longer to reach your goal, but as long as you circle back around when you recognize you're off the track, off the path for some reason, be unconditionally forgiving and loving with yourself, just like you would if you were cheerleading your best friend, your sister, your brother, somebody you love and care about, your child, right? When they stumble and fall, when they have their oopses, do you pile on and make them feel make them feel worse? No, you don't. You try to encourage them and say, hey, you know what? Hang in there. You're going to make it. Just get back on that horse, right? Get back on track. So if you do that, that's where it's going to go. All right. So thanks for that there, Chris. All right. And then let's see. Any other questions here? I see. Okay. So we have someone saying, I'm not sure how to begin my healing journey when it comes to like Reiki, for example. I know I'm a healer, but I don't know where to begin with small amounts of money. So the first thing I would say is there is so much free stuff available on the internet, as far as and social media, on YouTube videos, on opening up, how to open up yourself to be a channel for healing in the light. There are amazing books that are available that you can read and do the exercises in there. You can find somebody who is a practitioner of the healing art you want to learn, and ask to apprentice with them and ask them to help teach you. So a lot of times you just have to be resourceful and put yourself out there, even if you don't have the money. I will tell you, I was the queen of doing that when I was a kid. I grew up extremely poor. I've talked about my past in other episodes. It was a challenge. And I had to work incredibly hard for every little thing I took. And one of the first classes I took on developing intuition. I think it was an 8-week course with a man. And I approached him. I said, I don't have the money. I can't afford your class, but I know I'm supposed to be here. I know I'm supposed to take this class and study. Is there anything that you need that I can help you with as a barter? And he said, can you type? And I said, yeah, I'm a good typist. And I was. He said, okay, you can take my class if you agree to transcribe the tapes of the class. So I have transcripts afterwards of all the classes that I teach. And I was like, yay. So I got to take his class. And not only that, in a lot of ways, I got to take it just because as I'm listening to it and typing it, I'm hearing the lessons again and again and again. And so that was the way that I worked around not having the money to take the class. So see what spirit comes up with for you. I also mined crystals. Herkimer diamonds were one of the ones that my mom and I mined for years. And we have some beautiful specimens that we have collected. And those are sought after by other gem and mineral collectors and metaphysical people. So I would go to a gem and mineral store or a metaphysical store with my little bundle of crystals and go, do you like any of these? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, pick. Okay. Can I now go pick $50 worth, $100 worth, whatever they picked in crystals? I would pick that amount in books, credits towards classes, etc. So there's always a way to manifest what you want. All right. On that note, thank you for the questions. Thank you all for joining us. Please remember again to like, share, follow, and the standing homework we have, guys. As you know, if you're a regular to the show, say it with me. Go out there, shine your light, share your love, do your best to be kind, and create a legacy out there where you are having a positive impact on everybody you meet and in every situation you're at. May God bless you. Have a wonderful week. And I look forward to seeing you and your friends. Tell your friends, bring your friends next Thursday evening. All right. Have a great one. And this is Alethea signing off. Bye now. Got to end the stream. I have to find the outro. Oh, there's always this technical stuff. I will figure it out. There we go. All right. Take care, y'all.